Manus flat on the canvas. We are ready to rock and roll. Second round of action. There is a cut on Manus.
Yeah. Jesus.
Martial arts chat.
My man B-Hop got dropped out the ring last night. I need a little judo baby. I need me a little judo baby, and let's do it, Ron. Let's hit me up.
You see what filming this? You've got a face for radio.
I've got a face for radio.
Oh, nice.
Martial arts chat.
Hello, welcome to the Martial Arts Chat podcast. The Roundtable is back, and we'll be looking ahead to UFC 241, DC
Martial
versus Comey number 2. We'll be getting predictions from our panel as well, of course, answering your fan questions. Thanks to everybody that got in touch on Facebook and on Twitter as well. Before we look ahead, just first a quick shout out to the sponsors. A1 Fight Gear. A1 Fight Gear use the latest cutting edge boxing gloves for professional and amateur fighters, gym enthusiasts and kickboxers, so local and national gyms in the UK. Do yourselves a favour, go check out a1fightgear.com. If you want to get in shape, get back in shape, just keep trimming the fat off, whatever your gimmick is, go to beastgear.co.uk, use the coupon code Martial Arts Chat, and if you do that, you'll save 15% off your purchases for core sliders, straps, barbell pads, strength and conditioning programs, all at different levels to suit your needs, whether you're a beginner or you're an expert, whatever, man. beastgear.co.uk is where you need to beast your goals. We're also sponsored by Feel Supreme. feelsupreme.co.uk offer CBD oil and natural nutrition. They will assist your progress in diet and lifestyle, natural supplements and complementary services such as yoga, mind coaching and weight cutting programs. And finally, we're also sponsored by World of Martial Arts Television. Woma.tv produces, finds, acquires, commissions and presents all you ever wanted to know about martial arts. And so to our panel here this evening, delighted to have him back on from MMA Fansighted and MMA Latest. It's Mr. Dave Noseworthy. Dave, how you doing, sir?
I'm well, sir. Thank you so much for having me on again. I've been looking forward to this all weekend.
Pleasure to have you back, my friend, and also returning Pompey's biggest fan. How did you do this weekend, Matthew? Did you bag some goals?
Yeah, we got a couple of goals against Tranmere at home. We had a really disappointing start to the season, so it was good to get a win.
Running Ways and Purely MMA's biggest boy over there as well. Go check those guys out. Finally, helping a brother out from the main event, and I don't know where Mick Tully is. Shows me 2 weeks in a row, but we've got even better, the greatest thing at Lubbock, Texas, Mr. Kevin Jones. Kev, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, man. I'm glad to be here. I figure I probably come through for you when you need me to about as many times as I let you down. So really.
You're the man. That's it. Well, guys, UFC 241 just round the corner. Lots of great fights on the card. 3 in particular I want to look at. The first, he's a favourite on our show, man. Don't forget Jesus. I love him, the soldier of God, Yoda Meno. He gets the undefeated Paulo Costa. Should be a cracker, man, in the middleweight division. Could have huge implications in this title picture. Let's get some thoughts and predictions, if you please, gents. We'll start with Matthew on this one. Matthew, UL versus Costa. What are you thinking, mate?
Well, I'm going to name it the Battle of the Steroids. Why not? I don't have to say it to their faces, so why not? This could be a really heavy-hitting fight. I think one of the main questions going into the weekend is if Romero is actually going to make the weight. Obviously, the last time he missed, it was only by 0.2 of a pound, so he was close. But it's another year on. He's another year older. It's going to get harder and harder. It's not going to get any easier. So Paulo Costa, of course, can knock anybody out at any point, and he has done. He's knocked everybody out that he's faced pretty much. So it would be wise for Romero to probably go back to his wrestling background and take this to the ground, because it's going to be difficult for Romero to get any success on the feet with his hands. It's going to be difficult. I know he's got great striking power himself, but against Costa, it's not wise to go toe-to-toe with him with it.
Definitely not. So,
of course, Costa is a black belt himself in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but Olympic wrestling and Jiu-Jitsu, it is different. So it'll be interesting to see if it does go to the ground, how that works out. So a lot of questions going into the weekend and a lot of questions around this fight. I'm going to give my prediction to Costa just because of that power. He can knock anybody out at any point. Costa knockout win for me, and that's my prediction. But lots of questions going into the weekend around this fight for sure.
Knockout, man. I think he's knocked out everybody in his UFC run, hasn't he? They've all, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they've all been KOs. But then I think of the guys he's knocked out. We've got Johnny Hendricks. I'm sure Uriah Hall's in there. This will be his toughest test, isn't it? Soldier of God.
Yeah, definitely his toughest test. But with that power, I just don't think it matters. Just with that power, if you connect, it's going to rock anybody. It'll be interesting to see, for sure.
For sure, man. Kev, how about you? Your thoughts on this middleweight bout?
You know I've got to pick Yoel Romero. Yeah. I'll tell you what. Man, Paulo Costa, I forgot that guy was even around. I mean, hell, I think he fought once last year.
It's been a while, eh?
He's knocked out his knockout percentage is about as high as you will ever see in MMA. He's got 11 knockouts in 12 fights. Won the other one by submission. But he's never faced anybody of Yoel Romero's caliber, man. We're talking about a world class guy. Been in there with the best of this division. His fight IQ is a lot higher than anybody ever gives him credit for, I think. You could see how he timed that knee whenever he split Chris Weidman. I think what I think we'll see in short is Yoel Romero dominating for a couple rounds and then surviving down the stretch. He'll gas a little bit. He'll stay away from Paulo Costa's power. He's smart enough to do that. He's not going to get in there and mix it up with him. If he sees a spot, he will look to time it and exploit that weakness that he sees. If he doesn't see it, he will, lean on his wrestling to more than likely stay off the ground. I don't see him wanting to go to the ground. He showed a tendency to sit there and fight with people on his feet. And like I said, his ring IQ is way up there, and he has the power to turn out your lights just with one swing as well. But, and that's, I think I'm just really caught up in the layoff for Paulo Costa. I don't know if Costa's had injuries or why he's been out for so long. But there's something that was keeping him out, and just being out that long doesn't bode well for a guy. Again, who the best guy he's been in there with is Uriah Hall. Johnny Hendricks was definitely faded and bouncing around weight classes before they got together. So yeah, to me, Soldier God Yoel Romero, and I'm really not letting my fandom creep in here, even though he is one of my favorite fighters. Definitely could go the other way, but as long as he avoids the big shots from Costa, I think he can frustrate him on his feet. And like I said, depending on the pace of the fight, Yoel Romero, as he's known to do, will fade down the stretch. We might need to spill a gallon of water in the corner. Yeah. Whatever we got to do, we're going to get it done. Yoel Romero going to the finish line. Cash in on that one.
Yeah, I love everything it brings, man. Like Victor Vargas said it best, like it's a stereotypical dirty Cuban. You got all those tricks. Yeah, spilling the water. Did we drop the ice? Oh, we forgot the stool. Like all that shit, man. Everything counts. And if you can bend the rules as much as you can to your favour, and you're an amazing athlete and wrestler into the bargain, I love it, man. I think he's Ric Flair for me. He's the dirtiest player in the game, and I absolutely love it. Dave Costa, like we said, sorry, on you go, mate.
He's so nonchalant about it too, just plays the whole.
Just shrugs his shoulders, then he's like, "What?
I didn't know you couldn't do that."
Yeah, I love it. I love the attitude, man. But yeah, Dave, your thoughts, man. Biggest test his career. We said, how's it go down for you, mate?
My line of thinking is very much the same as Kevin's. I put a lot of stock in the fact that Costa hasn't fought since July 2018. That's a really long layoff, and couple that with the fact that. And no disrespect to these guys, but his most notable wins, I guess it's arguably a toss-up between Uriah Hall and Johnny Hendricks. And I don't think Costa's fought anybody even in the same wheelhouse of the level that Yoel Romero's at. And I think he's cerebral enough to not try to play the striking game, at least for too long. Perhaps he does toy, sort of stand in there for a moment to sort of pick his shots because he's got that bit explosiveness and that big power to turn your lights out as well. But Costa's just such a behemoth power puncher. I think he's smart enough to try to stay out of that early. And although he is known to sort of fade as time as rounds go on, he'll do that. I just see him being smart enough to just not get into that mess in the first place. And if he can just get a hold of him of Costa earlier and possibly hit him with a high amplitude slam, or just grind on him early and get him tired early. I just visualize Yoel Romero getting a win on this one. And there is the thing you got to take into consideration. I wasn't thinking about it until it was just mentioned that it is true. The weight thing, as he's not getting any younger, and it's been an issue in the past. And so it is provided that he comes and makes weight with relative ease this week. But provided he can do that, I just think he's going to be smart enough to not stand and strike at least early on with Costa, and grind him out and get the decision win.
Yeah, I think when we see the weigh-in and what kind of conditioning and how close or if he is over, that'll give us a lot more clues as to that gas tank and how he performs for sure, man. Let's move on to co-main event, because it sees the return of Nate Diaz. I never thought we'd see him back. Maybe unless actually Conor McGregor, the trilogy, because that's what he said, he wouldn't come back for that. And I was speaking at the top of the show, I mean, he was matching Masvidal, pulled out, Poirier pulled out, so I expect a pull out here, but it looks like it's on, man. Diaz, Showtime, Pettis, it should be some scrap. Let's see the thoughts of the panel. We'll start with Dave this time. Dave, Diaz, Pettis, who you got here, sir?
Yeah, speaking of long layoffs, Nate Diaz hasn't fought since August 20th, 2016, UFC 202. Can you imagine? Anthony Pettis has fought 7 times since then and gone 4-3 with some wars in there in between. He actually exchanged wins and losses. He beat Oliveira, lost to Max, won against Jim Miller, lost to Poirier. Been trading wins and losses, and now he's coming off that emphatic, ridiculous knockout win over Stephen Thompson. Amazing. And when I think about Pettis' striking style, the super technical, sort of straight down the pipe, sharp strikes versus Nate Diaz's sort of, I love his boxing style, but and I don't want to say his punches are loopy, but they are sort of loopy, and they sort of, I find, when you're the sort of striker like Pettis that goes straight down the pipe against a boxer like Diaz, it lends itself to danger for Diaz in terms of just absorbing damage, which we know he can take. So I'm at a loss. I'm sort of like making a game time decision here, because coming into this, I really don't know. Although I think Pettis is amazing, and coming off that win, his confidence is a sky high. I do think he was losing that fight up to Thompson until he wasn't losing it, and he's sort of hot and cold, and he's been hot and cold a lot over his career, and I'm not sure what to expect. So I mean, assuming Nate has been keeping up his training, which I think you can safely assume he's done, and he's had sort of long layoffs in the past and still shows up, I can sort of see Diaz coming away with the decision in this one.
A lot of people have said that. I've seen that, like Diaz by decision, and clue me up. Does anyone know if this is a 5-round or a 3-round fight? I'm going to guess 5 rounds because it's co-main, but I don't know if we've got the.
It's 3, isn't it? I was assuming it was 3. Sorry.
Same. No, I thought so as well. And that changes it a lot for me if it is 5. For Pettis' game plan, I think he looked to reserve, be a bit shy with the flashy techniques, because that's a big output of energy for the kind of shit that he throws and looks to knock you out. He's not setting you up with volume by any manner of means, which is what Diaz does, as we all know. But yeah, the layoff, man. I mean, 3 years is ridiculous, isn't it? I know the guy, he does the triathlons and all the rest of it, but
it's not fighting. It's not fighting.
It's
That's
not the same, innit? Exactly, man. It's not being at the fight week. It's not being weigh-ins. It's not. I know he's done it a million times, but he's not done it in a long time. And you're right, man. I think that's going to go a long way. It's going to go a long way.
And to be honest, I just want to get this one last thing in. Obviously, you want to be as objective as possible, but it's the thing. I love both fighters, but I love Diaz so much. I think a part of me wants him to win, so maybe sort of that's why I'm leaning that way. But that's where I am with it, I guess.
No, fair enough, man. Matthew, how about you? Pettis, Diaz. What does a victory do for either man, actually, at welterweight, and your thoughts on the fight, mate?
I think UFC are probably hoping for a Nate win. I think everybody probably has their eyes on a trilogy fight with Conor and Nate. Everybody will be paid for it, including the UFC. The pay-per-view buy rate will be insane. So from a business standpoint, UFC are probably hoping for a Nate win. I really like how Pettis is in a new sort of mindset, especially since the Tony Ferguson fight. He's now coming out and just saying, right, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to take damage, but they're going to take damage as well. You really saw a new side of him, and I quite like that. Obviously, he lost that due to injury, but yeah, I did love what Dave said about Nate's punches. I don't want to call them loopy, but they're loopy, but they are. It's kind of like he's never been known as like a huge knockout artist, but the volume of punches that Nate has just slowly chips away at you, does bits of damage here and there, often makes you bloody, and he's bloody as well. Going to be a great fight. Prediction-wise, it's difficult. I think Pettis' new mindset is going into it is going to be really telling if he can keep that mindset up with Nate, because Nate isn't going to get knocked out. He'll get knocked down and he'll get hurt, but the Diaz brothers, they get back up, you know. Should be a crazy fight. I'm pretty sure it's going to be fight of the night. Pettis, if he wins, it's just another huge name on his record, and maybe pushing him up quicker to a title fight, maybe. But probably everybody involved are probably hoping for a Nate win for the trilogy of Conor. And I think most people would be lying if you say you wouldn't be interested in seeing that.
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, that's the carrot that they're dangling in it, going into this for sure. I want to see it, and you put it so well there, mate. If you're telling me that you're not, then exactly you ain't telling me the truth. Kev, your thoughts? Diaz, Pettis, and who you got, sir?
I'm with my man. It's written in the stars. Diaz is going to win this deal. They got some problems up there in Milwaukee, dude. Rufus Sport. I mean, they're on a downturn. They're and like Dave said, man. I mean, it's Pettis' career's up and down. It's up and down for a reason, man. They have issues up there in that city, and this is going to be another one, man. Nate Diaz, what he does, he makes you fight his fight. It's one. I mean, and that's 101. Who's going to win? Yes. If you can get the guy to engage in the type of affair that you want to go with, then that's what he does. He does it with his volume. Everybody always talks about, you know, his chin and his volume punching, but dude's very talented on the ground. And I'm going to go out there on a limb. I'm going to say 3rd round submission win for Nate Diaz, because it's not written in the stars for him to win a unanimous decision. It's written in the stars for him to end this thing emphatically, jump on the mic, do what he does best, and call out Conor McGregor again. Give Dana White some headaches along the way, and let's get this show on the I mean,
love it.
It is. It's the best for business. UFC has been struggling, man. Their numbers are not what they were. They don't have that big star right now. They need Conor to come back. And what better way to make him come back than a guy that he thinks he can beat? I mean, and as far as the layoff goes, I mean, hell, we're talking about a guy that was, you know, sitting on a beach in Mexico eating kale sandwiches or whatever the hell the Diaz brothers diets consist of, and drinking beers.
Yeah. That's a good point.
And he came off 2 weeks notice and fucking whooped ass against a guy that was as hot as you can possibly get in this sport.
Yeah. So I would say if there's anybody, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I'd say if there's anybody that can do this sort of thing with layoff, it's like Nate, like Kevin's saying, I think.
Exactly. Yeah.
Bisping too, though. I put Bisping in that category with Rockhold. He jumped in 10 days notice or something.
It's about the experience factor. I mean, the fact that he's just he's been doing this at a higher level than Anthony Pettis for longer. He's been in there with you can't really point and say Anthony Pettis ain't been in there with this high caliber guys, but I mean Nate Diaz has been there for longer, and he's just at that experience level, man. I mean, we're talking about a guy earlier with Paulo Costa who's got 12 fights, you know, and I don't know how long he's been fighting for, but the experience, you know, he's been in the UFC for like 4 fights. I mean, Nate Diaz has been in here as far back as I can remember. I mean, what was he on, like the Ultimate Fighter season 2 or 3 or some shit?
Early doors,
It was early. So, yeah, man, I mean, and Anthony Pettis, man, I mean, he had his little time to shine, and we see this a lot in these weight classes. Dudes get on top, and once they fall off that pedestal, man, they never really it doesn't matter as many title fights as they want to give Frankie Edgar, man. He shouldn't be, you know what I mean? And I feel like the same way about Anthony Pettis, man. I mean, he's never going to be that Showtime guy that he was whenever he came out and whenever he took the title from Benson Henderson. That time's passed. Nate Diaz is in here. His time is still now, man, if he chooses to keep fighting. So I'm excited to see him back in the ring. You know, at first glance, you got to look at this fight, man. I say, oh, shit, I really don't care who wins this damn fight. I mean, you know, but no, man, Nate Diaz all the way. Let's get that trilogy happening. It should have happened right after the first. And I mean, a lot of people out there, I did score the fight for Conor McGregor in their second fight, but there are people out there who could have justified a score for Nate Diaz as well. And so you know, I'm ready to see 5 more rounds of that.
Well said, mate. Guys, main event, heavyweight title. I rewatched that first fight again last night. Stipe was controlling the fight, I thought, and got caught. And then, of course, it was teased that it was going to be Brock Lesnar and all that hoo-ha, and I guess he couldn't pass the USADA test. So a year later we got the rematch in it. But, I mean, there's no reason why he can't get caught again, don't get me wrong, but I still fancy Miocic's chances in this one. We'll see how it goes down, obviously, but let's see how the panel starts. We'll start with Kev this time. Kev, I know how much you love DC, but give me your thoughts, man. Is it and still or and new for you?
I really want to pick Stipe Miocic in this fight. Really too. But I can't for the reasons you just illustrated. He, it's kind of like I felt like he got in there and caught Verdum when he won the title. I thought Verdum was controlling that fight, and he got caught. And like you said, Stipe kind of did the same deal. And the fight was so short. It's hard to kind of visualize this fight thinking about the last one. So you got to kind of think of it in a new way.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do think of it in that new way, it comes out the same old result. And Daniel Cormier is too good in too many different areas to allow this fight to not go his way. It was long enough. I mean, there's always a chance he's going to get caught, and that chance dwindles as the fight goes on. But he's very smart. He keeps his shoulders very high when he walks in. He mix it up on the inside with him, where where he doesn't want to be is right in that sweet spot range. But the threat of the takedown is enough to either make him back up or make him hesitate enough for DC to get inside, I think.
Yeah. And
DC's not opposed to banging it out with these guys. He's smart in the way he goes about it. He can take a shot. And we've seen that. I mean, we're talking about a guy that went 5 rounds with John Jones. So he can take his licking. And yeah, I really just in my mind cannot see this going any other way, man. And anytime I think about these big fights and Stipe Miocic, I can't ever let go of the fact that this is a guy that lost to Stefan Struve, and he did look great. Maybe he did look great while he was champ, but maybe he just kind of fit in the right spot, which I think happens a lot of times in the heavyweight division. So we'll see, man. I mean, maybe he can go down to when he does lose to DC, maybe he can go. Maybe he can talk to DC and have DC talk to Kane, and he can go down to Mexico and start wrestling lucha libre. Put on the Patriot.
That's it. Put on that mask. Man, Stefan Struve, that was a blast in the past. I remember that fight well.
Oh, yeah. One more thing I think I got to throw out that my man Mike mentioned on our show this morning.
Go on.
It's the Modelo curse, man. I don't know if y'all get the Modelo commercials over there.
Oh, yeah,
in the
we
UK.
get them. Yeah. Nice
but
beer.
yes, this is the oh yeah, it's a great beer. We used to buy it for $4 a pitcher down in Ciudad Acuña, south of Del Rio, Texas. And but it's the curse of it's the Modelo curse, man. If you look at the guys they brought on and what they're doing now, Cain Velasquez, Brian Ortega loses his title, Stipe Miocic's lost his title, and now they're showing the guy down at the supermercado stocking mangoes. He's a hero of the people. They're getting out of they know what they're doing.
Curse. So who's next? Cejudo then? I guess he's the next one to fall. Hopefully.
Oh, they brought him on. Bad idea.
Missed the cringe. Dave, how about you? DC retains or Miocic regains the belt?
You mentioned you watched their first night fight there yesterday, and I actually recently watched it as well. And it's up until he wasn't winning, Stipe was doing really well. And the thing is, I always viewed that fight as a situation where I don't think Stipe counted on Cormier standing there and striking with him. Not to say that I've actually always been a fan of Cormier striking. I don't want to say it's underrated. It's just that there's so much emphasis and focus put on his wrestling. But he's got a full extension on all of his punches. He's got good power. But I just always sort of viewed it that I don't think Stipe was expecting that sort of fight from Cormier in the first one, and I always did sort of feel like Cormier was able to pull that off, in large in part because of that. But coming into this, I just sort of view, again, I can't help. I've thought about it long, and I've been going back and forth a bit, but I just think that Cormier's too smart to lose to Stipe. I think that he's just going to play the wrestling game coming in here strong this second time around. I could be wrong, but I just sort of feel like he's not going to take as many risks in the striking department to land that big shot, because although he was really successful the first time, we've seen DC get wobbled in the past. If I'm not mistaken, did Derek Lewis not wobble him at least for a moment at one point in their fight?
Did he?
I thought he did. Maybe I'm imagining that. I'll have to go back to the tape. We know Anthony Johnson. He most certainly did. He's sent him flying to the canvas. Yeah. That was unbelievable. But again, credit to Cormier. Like, I don't think he ever wavered. His eyes, he always seemed to be still there, even though he went down. So I guess the point I'm making is he's absolutely capable of absorbing a shot from Stipe, and Stipe's got that big power. But when I think about it stylistically, I just think that I see DC going in with a different game plan this time around, just to maybe not even go into that, not even take the risk of striking with Stipe, just because Stipe's got that gigantic power, especially early on. So yeah, no, again, it's been back and forth. And to be honest, when I first came on here, I sort of thought I'd be leaning towards Stipe by the time it was all said and done. But the more I think about it, all I see is Cormier going en route to a decision win, or maybe a 4th and 5th round stoppage by submission. But I'm not necessarily expecting the most exciting fight in the world. Again, I hope I'm wrong, but just based off how the first fight went and how I always sort of thought that, I don't want to say that Cormier got away with that or got lucky with that knockout, but I always just sort of felt that, that's not what Stipe was expecting, and Cormier was able to capitalize and take advantage and get that win. And I don't think he's going to play that a game again. And I think he's just going to be wrestling focused, wrestling heavy, and get either a decision win or 4th or 5th round submission or stoppage.
Fair play, man. Finally, Matthew, how about you? Who walks away the baddest man on the planet in this one?
I think it will be DC again. And I just want to shout out Kev. It's lovely to hear you say such lovely things about DC for a change. But he is so good everywhere, DC. And I think last year going into the fight, his coaches said, for the whole build-up, said, look, honestly, DC is knocking out all his training partners. The power he has at heavyweight is unreal. You're going to see just a such more powerful DC at heavyweight. And, I don't know why we doubted him before. He's unbeaten at heavyweight in his career. And Dave was right. The knockout punch from the first fight, it was a bit lucky. It wasn't like a huge, powerful strike. It was quite a closed-in, close-range strike. But it was just so sweet, and it just obviously hit the right button to sort of knock Stipe down. But sort of DC gave it away after the fight. He said, we all saw this from Stipe. We saw it all in the tapes. We knew he was going to come out with his hands low. So you'd think Stipe isn't going to do that again, because DC does have the strength to equal Stipe in the clinch. So it's difficult to say that Stipe wants to go there again. And in the first fight, as it's already been said, Stipe was probably winning the fight when they were just striking one-on-one, even though DC was doing okay. So going into this fight, it's going to be interesting to see who takes that approach. Are they going to keep it the same, or are they going to switch it up a little bit? Knowing DC, he'll be ready for everything. So...
I got to add something. I'm switching my pick, man. I knew this was going to happen. I knew I was going to have to go first, and everybody else was going to pick DC. And I thought I should switch my pick. And now I'm thinking about it harder. This is the deal. Daniel Cormier, 1 foot out the door already, talking about retirement. Hasn't gone well for a lot of other people. Stipe Miocic, 2nd round TKO.
I knew he couldn't.
I jinxed it.
You know what? On second thought, I'd like to change my pick.
That's brilliant, man. Well, guys, it's time for the final part of the show, and it's my favourite, answering fan questions. I'll remind the panel of the one rule we have. Don't wait your turn. The floor is yours. We'll start with Facebook, and my man Kevin Jones has sent in a question, so we'll go straight to it. And he asked, will DC keep his word and retire after the fight? What will his legacy be if he does? And will the Jon Jones cloud always overshadow him?
I'll jump in first, since it's my own question. I want to say one more nice thing about DC, because I know my buddy appreciates that. Best analyst in the game. He has that new show that he's doing on ESPN Plus, man. His breakdowns are sick, man. So I don't think we can underrate his preparation plan and what he might see in this deal. But I don't know, man. My kind of where I'm going with this, guys, is what about the Jon Jones clout? And hell, my answer to my own question is I already told you that he's going to lose. So that's going to affect his legacy. But I'll pass it to y'all, man. Jon Jones hanging over this guy, never go away.
Yeah, I think DC probably has one eye on that big payday, because he wanted Brock after the last fight. He didn't get it. So I think he wants that like $1 million payday one more time. I don't think they'll pay him that for a Stipe rematch. He'll probably get a decent amount of money, maybe $500,000, but he won't get that huge final payday that he's really craving. So I think the Jon Jones trilogy fight for him is almost it doesn't really matter. If he loses again, he can turn around and say, well, he has my number. He's just that guy who I will never beat. Fair enough. But then if he does beat Jones, then he can turn around and say, I've finally done it. I've beaten you once. I can go. So it's a win-win for him. And he'll get paid, multi-millions for it.
I don't know.
I don't know if y'all read what Jon Jones had said earlier this week, but he said that, the Daniel Cormier is, he doesn't want to go through that again. He doesn't want to go through the emotional preparation for that failure and the emotional repercussions of losing to Jon Jones again. And I think he has a good point. I don't think he wants to even take a chance losing that guy again. We've seen him wear his heart on his sleeve before, during, and after on these deals.
Especially after, man. There was every meme in the world after that, right? When he was crying in the cage, poor bugger.
Not enough for me.
The fact that he's lost twice, if he does it one more time, he could just turn around and say, well, it's not like a massive shock, surely. Or
does he not say, to play devil's advocate, well, it's now 2-1? You know what I mean? Although that one was a no contest, didn't he? Wasn't he? Picogrammed out his nut on that fight. So,
yeah.
Splitting picograms there.
Yeah, I suppose.
I sort of think it depends on how this fight goes with Stipe, and how it finishes. I don't know if he comes out with an emphatic, really impressive win. I see him going. I see him trying to angle for that Jones fight. Like I said, I think the payday has a lot to do with it. I don't know. I could sort of picture. I'm not necessarily sure how interested I am in seeing it, but I guess again it depends on how he looks on Saturday. But I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think this will be the last we see of him for sure.
I just don't see him getting down to light heavyweight anymore. Jon Jones' motivation, and otherwise, that's got to be a real struggle now, right?
Honestly, man, I want to play devil's advocate and looking at this guy's legacy. I think, if he would have stayed at heavyweight, his career could have been much, much different. Not to say he didn't have a great career, but the fact of the matter is he ran into the wrong guy at the wrong era.
Sure, but then by being in bed with Jones, at light heavyweight, I probably raised his profile in a losing effort. No.
Well, I really gotta root against the guy, man. I really want to see the worst fight. Best analyst in the game.
There's the backhanded compliment again. Best.
I hope he sticks around for 3 more years and fucks up his record. Shit, that's what I'm hoping. Let's stick around too long. Man.
Well, let's move on. But when you answer this one, guys, please by all means take your time, because the host here needs to go and grab a beer, and the kitchen is all the way over there. But I'll ask it first. It's G from the MMA Shower. Is Colby Covington too far with his trash talk, or is it business as usual?
Got to move the needle. Got him to sell fights. It's definitely a lot of it's scripted. You can see how he has things planned out. Kind of stumbles over them. He's not great at talking trash. He just does a whole lot. He's very crude with the way he does it. Hell, I for one enjoy his little Instagram post where he has adult models and adult extras hanging out with him at pools in Vegas.
That's exactly it. He knows what he's doing. I think a lot of people just buy into it like it's his genuine feelings. I think he knows exactly what he's doing. I think he's got a very underrated mind for how the business works. He is getting fights for it, and people are paying to see and hope that he gets knocked out. He knows what he's doing, and he's doing it well. Like, he's the most hated guy probably on the roster, and they're going to put him in fights. It's just as simple as that.
And I think there's, when you're a great fighter like Colby Covington is, we talk more about this when we talk about what he actually does. Okay, and the deal is, it's good to get under some guy's skin, and some guys you don't want to piss them off. But when you got the skills that he has inside of those of the chain link fence, then why not do it? If it could possibly provide you a middle edge, it's going to boost your I don't know if you call it purchasing power, but his selling power. He's banking on people loving to hate him. He's attaching himself to Trump, so he's going to have half the country rooting against him. And here we go.
Yeah, that's the problem with personas in MMA. Like his whole shtick and gimmick is just so loud, it completely overshadows his skill set as a fighter. People don't even really realize or take into account that he's one of the greatest welterweights in the game right now. He's incredible, his skill set, but a lot of people have a hard time separating the two. And like that persona just completely overshadows his skill set as a mixed martial artist. So I sometimes wonder in that regard, man, are you doing yourself any favors? Because you are an amazing fighter. And I don't know. I'm no doubt somebody has said that over the past couple of years, but I sure as hell haven't heard it. And it doesn't get talked about because of this persona. But is it going too far? I mean, it's a conscious effort. There's no question about it. It's just a matter of who's in on the joke and who's not, and who realizes that's the case and who doesn't. I've sort of, on my episodes I do with MMA Latest Weekly, talked at length of this over the last couple of years to the point to where I'm rolling my eyes at myself. But I accept the whole gimmick pro wrestling stuff as a part of the sport. I don't particularly love it. I've just come to accept it. So I don't personally like it, but is it going too far? Nah. I mean, he's picking the most sort of obvious choice to get the most, the biggest reaction, and it's working like a charm. So really, I mean, say what you will about him, but it's getting the desired result. And so as far as, his execution, it's killer.
The guy's got skills as well. Sorry to jump in, guys. I was listening to what you're saying. The guy really you're right, man. He has so much skill. I was watching that fight, and we were hitting each other up in the group chat and whatever. I was sold, man. I was still I still couldn't get past the shtick, if you want to call it that, even going into that fight. And then I was like, he's mixing everything up so well. And this is to Robbie Lawler. Robbie didn't have an answer. And the commentary team were doing what a lot of the people that were rooting for Lawler were doing, where, well, just you wait till you see a big shot's coming. And nothing came, man. He just pieced them up.
I honestly think all the attention and hate he gets, I really felt this after the Lawler fight. I feel like it's fueling him and making him more motivated to be better, because his last few fights, his performances have been improving, and they've all been fantastic. So I think it's fueling him.
And this is the deal too with the whole personas things, is a lot of the stuff the mixed martial art inherently attracts a certain type of individual, and there's a lot of honor and respect that goes into it that you see mostly. We're getting money interjected into the thing now, and the fact that it came on the heels of boxing, and boxing, people that act like this, they're generally, I would say 99% of them, they generally earn the hate that they get. They're really like this in real life, and you're seeing it more and more in MMA. It's the guys that have enough have a little personality, but good guy's not going to sell. Bad guy sells.
Oh, for sure, man. Look at Ben Askren. I know that gamble didn't pay off, but
that guy's a genuine asshole.
For real? Do you not think he's just turning the volume up?
No, dude. No, I know for a fact. That guy is a genuine prick.
Go on. What'd you know?
Yeah, let it out, man. I want to know what you know.
No, man. It's just well documented, man. The guy's a typical meathead, and he does dirty shit in fights, man. I had an instance where I wouldn't say I called him out. I'm not even sure how he got involved in the thread, but we were talking about a fight on Twitter that happened when he was fighting over in Asia, and it was against Luis Sapo Santos. Sapo Santos almost hit him with about 3 soccer kicks in a row, and was doing very well against Ben Askren in the first round. Ben Askren intentionally eye poked him twice. I watched the fight several times, and all I mentioned was I thought the eye pokes were intentional. Here comes Ben Askren out of nowhere talking shit, and I say, hey man, I'm trying to be respectful, but that's what I think. That's just one man's opinion, and he followed it up with something else. So maybe I got a little personal issue with him. It's like my little 5 seconds of fame with Ben Askren. But no, man. That guy. There's a reason that Dana White had it out for him so long, man. The guy is the guy's a jock, man. He's full of himself, and he was sitting way too high on his little horse and got knocked off. So I'm not missing any chances to sting Ben Askren.
I'd like to just insert this thing about the whole persona and shtick in MMA. It's a risk reward thing, because when he came to the UFC and sort of, again, don't want to say he lucked out, because controversial or not, he earned a victory against Lawler, but I did sort of feel like he dodged a bullet in that one because the fight easily could have been stopped. And that, he was like, the hottest thing in MMA for a period there. He was on Helwani's show pretty much every single week. His interviews were, getting big traffic and were
Helwani loves that shit.
Compelling enough. And now, credit to him, he got that, that insane, whatever the hell it was that Masvidal did. I still can't believe what happened there. But, and he handled it well as you can. But, he was on Helwani's show there, I think it was last week, and I came away from that interview going, wow. That's like, those interviews just don't have the same impact anymore, does it? You know what I mean? That personality, that sort of thing, because when you sort of put that out there and then it just doesn't work when you're losing, especially when you lose like that. So, that's where he stands now. What's going to happen if he loses his next fight?
He'll be out
the stock goes down even more, right? And his interviews are that much less interesting and that much less compelling.
His next fight's meant to be against Damian Maia.
I want to see it, but there's no knockout happening there.
There's no knockout happening there.
Sub,
I think
though.
that's very much.
Could be.
Yeah, it's very much his kind of fight. He can go into it and not have to worry about getting sensationally knocked out. He can go in and just do what he does best. Yeah. And then if he loses that, then he'd probably handle it very well. I found his reaction to the Masvidal loss quite funny. Actually, I found it quite amusing. But it's not. It's amusing in the way of, he's kind of almost self-accepting that he wasn't good enough, and it's a bit sad, really, but it was funny.
Fair play, man. Let's move on. No, sorry, mate. On you go.
No, you go ahead.
Well, good. Derek Bowe is asking about Frank Edgar's move to bantamweight. He's asking, is it too late, or does he have something left in the tank to make a real run at that division? Yeah, I think Frankie's just desperate for this. Finish his legacy as a two-weight champion. He's already got a legacy, man. In my eyes, he's a legend. But this move to bantamweight, do you think he can do the business?
I don't. UFC has a hard-on for giving Frankie Edgar championship fights. I don't think he's.
I'm in Uriah Faber, right?
Yeah. He's from New York. They're kind of people love Frankie Edgar. You just said it yourself.
Love him,
people
man.
Gush.
Yeah.
Love it. Man, I don't know. I think this is a terrible move for Frankie Edgar. I don't know how old the guy is, man, but I've said it before, man. I say it all the time. This is just not the way that it works. I don't know if it's human physiology. I'm not good with my words when it comes to scientific talk, but you don't get older and fucking need to lose weight until you're really fucking old. You gain weight as you get older until you get really old, then you lose a lot of weight and you fucking die. So why do all these guys think the answer is I need to go down in weight? Well, he needs to go down in weight because he can't beat anybody at the top at featherweight, just like he couldn't beat anybody at the top at lightweight. So he's going to go down there and take his chances. If he wins a fight, they'll give him a title shot. Did he not come off I want to say the guy was coming off a loss when he dropped down, and he couldn't have possibly been coming off a loss. But when he drops down, they just, it was one fight and they're going to give him a title fight. He has lost 5 title fights in a row. The guys that he beat them all twice. Those are his defenses. Greg Maynard, BJ Penn's old ass. And then Benson Henderson smokes him twice. And we seen what happened to Benson Henderson after. Let's get off the Frankie Edgar train.
I've not done that. No.
Want to stick around and hang around in the top 10, then that's cool. But we're not going to continue to give you title fights just because you decide to drop down in weight, man. They just want Frankie Edgar to start stringing together wins. Frankie Edgar is going to sell. They don't want him to, do like some of these other guys do and lose fucking 6-7 fights in a row and then call it quits and come back every couple of years. They're trying to make some money off of Frankie Edgar right now.
You're not a fan of the answer, though? Like his fighting style, those fights with Maynard, man.
No.
Never was.
And I should be. Out of all people, man. Short guy, like the boxing style.
Rocky.
Maybe it's the Yankee thing, dude. I don't know.
I think that's what it is. I'm feeling it in spades.
I think it's because everybody else likes him, John.
Right. I hear you. I get that as well. Yeah.
It's like DC, man. When everybody likes somebody, I got to go the other way, man. I'm a rebel. What can I say?
I hear you.
He's been in the UFC since the start of 2007. I almost think Dana kind of just not feels sorry for him, but because Frankie's been there so long and he's done everything and he's been there for Dana when he's needed it, and sort of Edgar's done everything when he's asked to. I think Dana kind of just feels, oh yeah, okay, we'll give you what you want. But
you'd think they was from the same neighborhood and grew up together. He's been like that with him forever.
Yeah. And I just think the name for like pure UFC fans, the name will still draw a couple of pay-per-view buyers and stuff, but on the bigger picture, I think Edgar's probably done now. And I think this is just one last. I thought the Holloway fight was his one last desperate attempt at getting that 2 title sort of name, but now it's getting. It's really desperate.
Just put him in with BJ Penn, man. That guy loves getting smacked about these days. So fucking BJ Penn, Frank Edgar 9 or whatever we're on now. Just make that happen.
I'll sum it up in one sentence, man. The answer is, and at the same time, is not going down to making weight. That it's not going to work out.
Yeah, it's not. The weight class changing thing is not the answer to everybody's problems, like it's sort of made out to be a lot of the time, I find. Whether it's going up or down, depending on the situation. Normally in this situation, that the moving down to 135, that was always in Edgar's back pocket if things didn't work out at 45, and I think he knew that. And I think you guys are all right in that. I think he's just one of Dana's guys. He's been around for so long, for so many big moments in a different era of this sport. I don't want to say Dana feels indebted to him, but he just sort of has that relationship to which if he can position himself, he's going to give him every opportunity, any and every opportunity he can. But it's just one of these things where he's getting older. You drop down. I mean, he had the speed advantage in 55 and 45, but when he goes down to 35, is that going to be the case? Is he going to be on the slower end of the bantamweights? Because maybe he's not so outsized, but now he's probably
you're probably right.
I don't want to suggest for sure he's on the slower end of things,
but he's pushing 40 though. Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, very real possibility. And age in the lighter weight fighters is not the same as being a heavyweight. It's a completely different animal.
Totally, man. I mean, yes, I know with the weight cut, making changes is going to help. Making it's kind of what Kev was saying. Like weight cut can be the answer, but moving in the right direction. And you're right. I don't think moving down is the wrong direction. Moving up, although there are exceptions to the rule, man. Look at Giga Masasi. Like him moving down to middleweight. I mean, I don't get why the UFC cut him. That's a lie. I know why the UFC cut him because he beat Chris Weidman, but like him, he's looked better than ever at middleweight.
Another New York guy.
There you go, right? Another Yankee, Kev. That's it.
I just want to throw this in there. I was never high on Chris Weidman at all, ever. But anyway.
Beat Anderson, man, though. Beat him twice. I know that was a leg break and all, but
I was there. The first fight. It was
really
shocking. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal fight. Derek Bowe, my man, also followed up with who's at fault in the Chris Cyborg versus Dana White saga? One, the other, or both?
I mean, Chris Cyborg's never done herself any favors, ever. And I don't know if we can say anybody's to blame. I mean, it is what it is. They brought her in there without a Division IV, and she continues to butt heads. A lot of times, man, I can see why fans might get riled up at the man, at the big promotion, the big bad Dana White, and him being able to pull all the strings. But that's not really the case in this deal, man. And in those arguments, I always tend to take the side of business. But she's a headache, man, and I don't think that it was good for business keeping her around. I don't think she's that big of a commodity as fans perceive her to be.
She's not Ronda Rousey, but she sells, no?
The numbers do not back up this argument, man. She is such a fucking headache for the promotion. And again, let's think about Ronda Rousey. Since you pointed out, she's eating chicken wings with the boss after her fight.
Yeah.
What Cyborg do after her fight? Rolls up in his face talking shit to the boss, man.
Yeah, I've always heard. Sorry.
You just. I mean, when they tell you, when your boss is telling you to jump through a hoop, where's the hoop at? Light it on fire and let's get it on. You know what I mean? Not talking shit the whole time. It don't matter what the fuck he said 10 years ago. Hell, it don't matter what he said yesterday. He's in charge. He's your boss. So let's get along with him or not. And she chose not to. And now she can go get along with Scott Coker, which, I mean, and we're still going to get to see her fight.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what's going to happen, if I'm honest, and I think that's what should happen. That's better for Chris Cyborg, that she sees at her final years with that's his girl, isn't it, Chris Cyborg, so he will do better things with her. I think he'll promote her better, he'll match her better, and he'll probably pay her better as well, right?
I've always heard that Cyborg is hard to deal with. Like, she seems, I hear also that she's like one of the nicest people on the face of the planet and that sort of thing. But and you know what? She's in a bit of a unique situation, just given everything, whether it's her fault or not, in terms of fans' perception on her and what she's likely had to deal with over the years. But I've always heard that she's been really difficult to deal with. And you're right. The thing is, like, everybody, and by all means, like, I always have to preface this with saying, I believe fighters are underpaid. They should definitely be getting paid more money. There's without question. But the thing is, the UFC, the promotion side, it's not that it's underrepresented in MMA media. It's not represented in MMA media, period. So it's like their side of things never gets told. It used to back in the day when Dana used to do the scrums, but I think that's what got them into a lot of trouble as well. So we're only ever hearing one side of it. And I don't know, I definitely put... it's hard to know with it, not knowing exactly what's going on because we weren't there. But I feel like there's plenty of blame to go around, and it's Cyborg and her team are highly responsible for this sort of thing as well.
Yeah, and just to be petty like that, let's point out the fact that she stole her nickname from her ex-husband, and he didn't want to hang around her anymore.
And then he got MVP'd, right?
So he yeah, right.
Yeah, he's like, all right, I'm going to call it a career. I'm out.
He got that Pokemon ball carved into his head
Jesus,
and shit.
Man. Talk about flying knees. We've got Mike Perry's to get in later on. But last one from Facebook before we move on to Twitter and wrap up. Michael Mason, don't know if you do boxing chat, but what's up with AJ getting that dirty Saudi oil money, leaving Ruiz 9 million short, I heard?
No, Ruiz wants 9 million. He wants more than the 9 million that he was promised for the rematch to go to Saudi Arabia, because there's a lot of fucking more money in a fight in Saudi Arabia.
So what's the pay? What's the pay? What they saying to it? What's the tune they're saying?
Man, nobody knows. I mean, it's Saudi Arabia, brother. They don't got to report shit.
That's true.
And it could be $100 million in this thing. That would not be out of the ordinary for whatever they call them, sheiks or the sultan over there. But these guys got more money than God, and he basically has decided that he wants to be a player in this game. He knows somebody knows Eddie Hearner has got in touch with him, and we'll see if it happens, dude. I mean, out of all places, Riyadh. I mean, and I don't ever miss a chance, John Boy, to point out that the UFC, since this is an MMA show, UFC is in bed with Abu Dhabi. They commit atrocities probably not as bad as what they're doing in Saudi Arabia, which that's a political talk for another day. They're cool with that shit over there, I guess. But most of the Western world where we consume this product is not cool with it. If you buy the pay-per-view, you will be giving money to Saudi Arabia's government. They're getting in this deal to, I don't know if they're getting into a break even. Again, no one discloses the numbers over there, but it was definitely off the radar, out of the blue, that this thing might be landing in Saudi Arabia. But don't count on Andrew Ruiz, who was talking about Mexico City or Los Angeles, and he said, I don't want to go to the UK. Reason he doesn't want to go to the UK has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with judges, because this fight's not going the distance. What it has to do with is the regulation on the fucking thing. And he does not want to get in there with a Anthony Joshua that has any type of advantage, and whether that's PEDs or not, man. I mean, that's what he's saying.
Oh, is that how it goes down? So like in the UK,
we just saw Dylan White. Yeah. And Dylan White fails a drug test the week of and is allowed to fight that day, is cleared by whatever commissions over there. And it's just very getting into bed with a guy like Eddie Hearn and going to Saudi Arabia might be a worse off deal, if those are your concerns, than going to the UK.
I was just gonna say, I was like, well, I mean, yeah, you're leaving yourself pretty open over there. You're like, you're right. That's a good point. I never thought about that before about the UK, but it's like, man, can you imagine like what's going on behind closed doors over there to make that happen?
But isn't the UFC going to Saudi Arabia? Isn't that where Khabib's fighting, right?
Oh yeah, Abu Dhabi. Second time they'll be all be there. The first time
Abu
was in
Dhabi.
2010.
They own 10%. It's Flash Entertainment. They own 10% of the company.
Right.
You spend $1 with them, they're getting 10 cents.
He's got the numbers.
If you notice, whenever they mention Abu Dhabi, they talk about it like it's a different fucking sport. They don't do that with any other venues, any other locations, any other cities. They don't talk about it like, oh, well, he beat that guy in Abu Dhabi. They'll say, Joe Rogan says that habitually on fucking telecast. If there was the past fights over there, they mention it. And I was thinking for a second, when I first started hearing it, I was thinking, hell, man, if I didn't know any better, I would think it was some kind of grappling sport that, oh, well, hell, he did beat him in Abu Dhabi. You know what I mean? And it's not talked about at all, man. Back in the day when this shit happened, even years after it, you bring that shit up, man. They were jerking people out of the press conferences, is what I heard. Nobody talks to Dana White about this shit. It's an old story now, but it goes on every day.
It's a pretty poor card, actually, what they're putting on Abu Dhabi. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I think it's pretty much the main event, and maybe the is like really worth watching. The rest are really low sort of level fights. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way at all, but it's not exactly a pay-per-view worthy card. But because it's Abu Dhabi and it's going to be, 30,000, 40,000 arena, they're treating it like it's a big deal on that one fight, pretty much, that main event. And that's probably why you guys aren't like massively aware of the other fights, because they've only ever talked about one.
That's the new business model, baby.
Well, let's fuck the Roundtable episode for that show then. Hold on, I'm having a wee look at the card just now. We've got Edson Barboza, Paul Felder here, co-main. Islam Makachev's on that card. Curtis Blades. My girl Joanne Calderwood, but she's on the early prelims. Who's she fighting? Andrea Lee. Zach Cummins is on that card as well. I mean, ain't bad.
I was fighting Andrea KTB Lee. That'll be a good fight, man.
Two kickboxers going thrown down, hopefully. I mean, that's you're right though, Matthew. It's not stacked, is it? Let's be honest.
It's not stacked. It's good. Don't get me wrong. Edson Barboza, Paul Felder will be a hell of a fight.
Oh, and then the following week is Cerrone and Gaethje.
yeah, exactly. Like you'd think if they were putting so much emphasis on this Abu Dhabi card, why don't you put the Gaethje Cerrone fight on this card?
Yeah,
I mean,
makes sense.
It's just it's a decent. There's some good fighters there, but it's not like a stacked main card of the year, which is how they're kind of marketing it, because it's the next pay-per-view in the UK to be on box office on BT Sport.
Oh, is that the second one? Right, I see.
It's the second one. So it's
what's the story with that? Because when I had Brian Lacey on the show and he does some work for BT, he was telling me that there's only 2 pay-per-views that they're doing in the UK, but I heard it was 4. Did you hear the same?
It's going to be 4 next year, but obviously they've only started doing it halfway through this year. So
right. Well, that makes sense then.
Oh, they're going to get y'all's money.
Oh, mate. This is what killed boxing over here, man. But I'm not paying any of it. I'm streaming all of it. I'll tell you right now, I'm pirating a lot of this.
What's up, baby.
Yeah, man.
Hell yeah.
It's in America, like you guys are paying $50, $60.
Feel sorry for you guys, man. Aye.
And over here, we roughly get a good deal. We pay sort of £20 a month, and we get the fight. So for me personally, it's not really a massive deal if we're going to pay £20 for one card and then 4 months later have to do it.
It's $30.
But see, he's English though. That's a big deal for him. For us Scots, I'm not paying fucking £20 extra. No chance. I get alcohol I need to buy. Exactly, man.
Yeah, bro. Y'all been sticking it to the man way longer than we have the UFC. So let's keep that going.
Guys, let's move on to Twitter because we've got a couple to get through before we wrap up. At Kingdoms 1985, Chael Sonnen said that Perry versus Luque was fight of the year. Guess he forgot about Gastelum versus Adesanya or Poirier versus Holloway. I saw the highlights of that fight, man, and I saw Perry's face after it. Jesus Christ, looked like a good scrap. Don't know about fight of the year, but good scrap.
Yeah, I hadn't even started thinking about fights of the year, man. Hell, I'm thinking I see fights of the year every month or so.
Not good, huh?
Just enjoying. We'll look back later.
We'll get to it in the end of the year show for sure. At H. Dormigue, it's 3:30 a.m. You get back from the pub, bringing a whole new definition to the phrase shit-faced. Whack on some Johnny Cash, okay. Research this Epstein bastard and try fathoming waking up in 4 hours for the UFC. Life is weird, but good. That's not a question, but I'll put it in for you, mate. Thoughts?
Congratulations.
That's fantastic.
Maybe. Nobody has to do any research on Epstein anymore. Fuck does not.
The rumor was he hung himself with his hands tied behind his back. I don't know. That's the rumor.
Bill Clinton or somebody just like him probably had him killed. So one less pedophile.
No. Didn't have him killed. Had him suicided.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's how rich people do it.
Yeah, right.
That's how the super rich do it.
They got the Abu Dhabi paper making that stuff.
Yeah, bro. That Sultan money.
Let's move on then. At Lily Z Boy, any truth to Conor versus Aldo at lightweight in Madison Square Garden? I saw this going around.
Seen the rumours for it, and you know what? That's probably where we've seen Conor's best work at that weight class. And can he make it again? That's the question. He's walking around pretty heavy, but that's where his best work has been.
You don't think he can make lightweight again? No, 155.
Oh, was it at 155?
But that's what the guy was saying. Okay. He's saying it's happening at lightweight.
Oh, 100% then. Yeah, I think it'd be a good...
Yeah, 45's out.
Yeah, that'd be a good build-up to see. I'd really like to see it. And to be honest, they're looking for that... They're basically looking to Conor for that MSG main event.
I think so.
So that kind of fight, it's either going to be that or Nate. That would really get me hooked at such pretty short notice, really.
I think so. Yeah, I think you're right, mate.
Yeah. I think I like the idea of Aldo and McGregor as well, because I always just sort of wanted a redo, even though, like, again, that's one of those fights I still can't believe what happened in the time that it did and the way it happened. Incredible. And that's what really set McGregor off. But at this point, just given where everybody's at this juncture, I don't hate that idea one bit.
Aldo's still in good condition fairly as well at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but the loss to Volkanovski, I think featherweight's done for him now, so that would be a good... Sorry, Kev, on you go.
And I'm on the opposite side of the fence, dude. I'll watch it like everybody else, man, but I don't want to or need to see this fight at this moment or ever. Man, there was a time and place for this rematch, and it was at 145 pounds, and it was a long time ago. Aldo's not the same fighter at 155 pounds, and he's not the same fighter, period. He's older. He's past his prime, and so is Conor McGregor. And it's that's just one of those fights to me, man. And I can't get excited for it. The hype for it surrounding it would not be anything close to because Aldo is not that type of guy. He's the type of guy that will get. I mean, he'll get heated. He might be hot. Conor gets under skin. He gets hot headed. But fuck, man, the guy, if he speaks English, he doesn't speak it well. I don't even remember him speaking English. You need Nate Diaz like that. You need that for the promo. People are not getting up for Aldo versus McGregor. They'll get up for McGregor, but you need that other dance partner to really put an event like this over the top and put those numbers north of where you they need that to do the number they want to do. They don't need Aldo for this. That's not happening.
It's actually a very good point. And looking back, they were in such a unique position. What happened then? Aldo was on his 10-year stretch. Conor was on this amazing uprise, and they just the fight got taken away, didn't it? 'Cause that's how the Mendes fight came about. And they were just in this such unique position where everybody was frothing at the mouth for it. Would you get the same buzz now? Probably not, and it might make it worse. The fact that the first one was such a hyped build up, and this one would be.
Yeah, I think. No, I was just going to say, like, I don't really know what options are out there for McGregor, like, that really are going to get people excited just coming off of a loss. I mean, not to say that people won't be excited. I just think the excitement isn't going to be the same as what it was. I mean, I don't know if we'll ever see the sort of pandemonium that we did on the come up with McGregor. I don't want to be too cynical about it, but I almost fear that, like, the days of McGregor, the best days of him and the hoopla surrounding it are behind us, just because I don't know if that we can ever get back there just based on where everybody's at right now. So I sort of feel like the options available for McGregor to really, draw a lot of excitement from the audiences, I don't know, are limited. So I guess maybe I'm just sort of reaching. I don't know.
Even in the Khabib build-up, I hate to say it because I was a huge Conor fan at that point, but even in the Khabib build-up, you kind of thought, my God, Conor's really trying to force this.
Yeah, it wasn't the same, was it? It just wasn't the same. You can't keep that up forever.
It's because he's not that guy, man. I mean, he's not that guy. Who he is, I mean, is well documented, and he has a lot of money right now, and he's being smart with this, best I can fucking tell. And so, you know, the motivation's gone, and the motivation not only I think the motivation to be that hype man, but the motivation and the will what it takes to be a champion.
Yeah, I think his goals are just different. They've changed. Like, you know, the hunger and the desire that he had to get to where he was. When you get there, he's done it already. What is there left for him to do? Go and, you know, potentially maybe win another title. He's already done that. He's already been at the pinnacle of the sport. He's already won 2 titles. He's only a young man, but I think his goals are just changing. I think the whiskey business is a big thing. God knows what else he's got in the works. I just sort of feel like he's maybe a little bit beyond the fighting thing. Maybe not totally. I don't doubt that he still loves to train and still loves to compete, but the hunger and the desire, I don't think will ever be the same for fighting. I just think it's...
The whiskey is doing unbelievably well. I think they sold...
Not bad too, man. I tried it recently. I mean, it just tastes like Jameson's, don't get me wrong, but it's just... You tried it?
The company revenue, I think, hit $1 billion in America. And it's just incredible.
Good for them.
I haven't tried it. I've heard mixed reviews. I do know that when it came out, months after it came out, the store by my house, I asked them about it. They said they get a limited supply, and it's gone damn near as soon as they can get it. So I mean, people want to have a bottle of it sitting around, just like we passed a picture back and forth in the little message group we have. You know, it's hey man, I got that proper 12, baby. You know, it's like me drinking Tecate because Canelo's on the commercials. You know, it's people
I want it. I've acquired just at the start of this year. I acquired a taste for Scotch, brand new to it. The whole Scotch and whiskey thing. So I'm like obsessed with Scotch now. I'm sure John, I would assume, not to be presumptuous.
No, to be honest, mate, I
appreciate that.
I hate Scotch whiskey, and this is coming from a Scotsman. Really? No, man, I can't do it.
He sticks to jars of cider, brother.
Yeah,
man, I'm drinking Glenlivet right now. Baby.
I mean, all of these are. I hear rave reviews, but I just can't do it. My old boy loves it. Now, Kev, do you like a Jameson's?
Yeah, I enjoy whiskey. You know, you kind of go through phases, I guess, when you're a kid. I went through a rum phase, a Jägermeister phase, and that whiskey phase is what kind of stays with you. Haven't got into Scotch yet, but, you know, my pops is into it. But, yeah, I enjoy I definitely enjoy it a little too much, you know, so I tend to stay away from it.
I hear you, man. Well, if you like a Jameson's, you like proper 12. It's pretty much the same thing, mate. But we'll wrap up with the last 3 from Twitter. At Michelle88E. Does anyone in the world pronounce Uruguay like Uncle Dana? Okay, so I haven't heard how he pronounces it, but I'm going to.
I haven't either, but I've been having a little fun with it. I mean, you know, I'm from I'm not from that far south Texas, but you can get to Mexico in 3.5 hours if you drove fast. And it's, you know, in Spanish it's pronounced Uruguay, right? But everybody says Uruguay. I don't know how he pronounced it, but I've been having a little fun with that this week. I like it when I can mix in a little bit of my Spanish enunciation knowledge on shows.
My girlfriend's from Spain, actually, and I was actually trying to figure out how to pronounce it. I was doing the same thing, but yeah, I got that, I guess, like Canadian Newfoundland dialect on it, so I'm not sure, to be honest. I haven't heard Dana say it either.
Is Dana from New York? You think he is? I mean, he's got to be with the way he loves
Boston.
Frankie.
I think, right? He came up in Boston.
I've always just seen him like it. He's a New York type of guy.
Yeah.
East Coast, I guess, isn't it? I don't know. How do you
Definitely.
all saying the same way as me? Uruguay? All right.
Uruguay.
There you go.
No Uruguay, Jesus.
No. Yes,
Uruguay, Jesus.
That's making the clip show. There you go. At Els for Elf, what was more brutal, Cowboy's eye, Perry's nose, or Leslie Smith's ear?
What were the choices?
Sorry, I was sipping the Becks. Cowboy's eye, so Cerrone's eye when he blew his nose against who was that fucking fight? I can't remember, the most recent one. Mike Perry's nose, obviously, from last night. Or Leslie Smith's ear, remember that one in Brazil? Her ear just fucking exploded.
That was bad. The ear was really, really, really bad. The orbital bone thing, funny, when I was watching the Cowboy fight with my friends, it was against Ferguson, and when he was doing it, I was like, don't blow your nose.
Really?
I looked like such a hero because I said it. They're like, what? Why? And then all of a sudden,
I remember Eddie Alvarez doing the same thing, right? He was doing, I forget who he was fighting, but yeah, brutal, man.
I'm going Leslie Smith's ear. That was nasty. What does that look like today, by the way? I had to look that up now.
Good question, mate. Imagine that's
I don't know that this reverse 5. I mean, the crook that got put on this dude's nose last night. I would say out of those, man. All time, I'm always leaning towards that cut that was over Vitaly Klitschko's eye when Lennox Lewis pieced him up, and Klitschko was ahead on the cards, man. Broke a George Foreman grill after that for the things that he was saying about the fight.
Oh, come on. What about your man Cyborg's skull, though? I mean, we talked about it earlier. That's got to be up there, right? Anderson's leg? Oh, that's got to be.
Well, I think Cyborg's in a league of his own because of the X-ray picture, you know?
Yeah, the X-ray picture made it, right? Yeah, that was brutal, man. We had no idea until we saw that picture just how bad that thing was.
It looked that, yeah. I mean, I was laughing about it until I seen that picture. I didn't really want to laugh about it after that. That's crazy. Something like that.
Silva's leg was pretty damn horrific too, though. That's horrific. God damn.
Okay, last one from Twitter, guys, before we wrap up. At Artem Gotov, is it right move for Pettis to stay at welterweight with another win, or is size going to play a big factor versus another top 10s in that division?
I feel like the thing about like in professional kickboxing, I don't know if you guys are fans of pro kickboxing. That's sort of, I was really, really hard in the Muay Thai kickboxing, pro kickboxing at one point, and like you'll see size discrepancies, and they're a lot more accepted, and it's a lot more common. Because I don't know, it's sort of up in the air. Some people will tell you that, you know, being the smaller fighters is the advantage, and you know, when you're dealing with a bigger, heavier fighter, you're dealing with a slower, more predictable target. But the thing is that if you're just playing purely the striking game, you deal with the impact a lot more later on in the rounds when you're dealing with it. I think there's weight classes for a reason. Again, Pettis isn't even a big 55er. Am I wrong in saying that? Is he not just sort of like a regular size lightweight?
So I can't imagine he's not, right? I don't know. He struggles to make 45, but
he's a thin guy, and he's long and thin.
Mm-hmm.
I sort of feel like, I don't know. It depends on how it goes. You know, while he's winning, as long as he's winning, I'm sure he'll be there. But in terms of his long-term future, I don't know. You run into some of those guys. I've seen some of these guys. I'm sure maybe you guys have as well. But I've seen some like UFC welterweights and pro welterweights in person before up close, and it's unbelievable how big these people are, how big these individuals can be. And I just feel like his future long term, it can't be when you run into some of these monsters that are right there. Even Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, I saw him in 2012. I was like, holy shit, he's a lot bigger than what I expected. So it's kind of crazy to think that Pettis was able to do that to him. But in short, I think ultimately, one way or another, he resigns back to 55.
Yeah,
I've mentioned earlier in the show the correct answer for Anthony Pettis is to move camps. I mean, he's been up there too long. He's too comfortable in Milwaukee. I'm not sure what all them cats are into, man, but that's a different type of city, and he needs to get somewhere where he's focused all the time.
So you reckon that training camp is going south? Then what makes you think that, mate?
So,
yeah, I'm really intrigued by your words. Like I'm all ears when you say it. I'm like, wow, it perks my ears up. It's interesting.
It's just man. I mean, these dudes is they're running around, man. I mean, they're eating too many cheese curds. They're falling in with people. I mean, didn't Pettis' house get burnt up and like I mean, who knows who these guys are hanging out with, man? I mean, there's a lot of
CM Punk.
It's a big clique that's going on up there, man. I mean, and you watch these guys in boxing. Y'all know I'm a big fan of that. They move around for their training camps. You know, they got a little home gym with the great trainer, but they'll move around. You know, and a lot of them, especially when you get on the end of your career, the answer is not to stay with the same people doing the same thing. And we're seeing these guys fall off, dude.
Interesting.
You can definitely get too comfortable at one place if you stay forever, and you won't. I think the people at the camp will just tell Pettis what he wants to hear.
Yeah, and get away from your family. You know, get away from the yes men. That's okay. You're Anthony Pettis. Nah, man. Get back to work if you want to win, and if you want to just go through the motions and do the same thing and get. And that's the old saying, man. If you do the same thing, you'll get the same results. Well, in today's day and age, and especially in the fight game, if you do the same thing, you will get less. And he's at that point.
I mean, I hear you. Yeah, you can get stale, but like, look at someone like John Jones. Has he ever been with anyone that's not Jackson Michael John?
John Jones. John Jones is a different beast, man. This cat,
That's true.
the abilities he has is above it. It's hard to compare him to anybody else. You know, it's like comparing a Fortune 500 company to or you know, it's like comparing a big conglomerate to a smaller corporation. It's you know, for him, Jon Jones is a type of fighter that knows what he has to do. Doesn't need to be told. Just needs a place to develop those skills, man, and work with them. You know, Anthony Pettis is a guy that needs to fucking trainer that's going to change his approach and make him more disciplined.
But then if you make that jump, I mean, it is a gamble. Look at someone like Luke Rockhold, different kind of setup there. Obviously, AKA they go hard. He changed with who's that big Dutch boy always shouts, "Don't give up." He went with him, put on a blue sock and got knocked the fuck out. Things ain't looking too rosy for Rockhold. Retirement, Dana wants. So, I mean, I don't know. He's in a point of his career. How old is Anthony Pettis? He's got to be somewhere around the 30 mark. If you make a move now, it could be do or die time. I don't know. Is it a gamble you want to take? That's the question you got to ask.
Well, I think you've took too long to taking it. And you know, talking about Rockhold, doesn't the guy got a modeling career and he's been a Rockhold's been like, you know, to me he's a typical like Northern California dude, kind of full of himself and he's got other things to lean back on, man. But Pettis, I mean, this is what he has. This is the only future he has is in fighting. You know, I don't know what his.
You don't think that Wheaties box commercials paying the bills? No.
Showtime kick was a long time ago, baby.
Yeah,
I was like, you kidding me?
That money is
Wheaties
long gone. He spent it on cheese curds and Milwaukee's best.
That damn Wheaties box is where it all went wrong.
Yeah, that was a curse, right?
The Modelo curse, forget it, man.
Yeah, exactly. Modelo versus Wheaties. What's the bigger curse? That should be the hashtag for this show. Guys, there you have it. UFC 241 is this weekend. We can't wait to see some of these scraps. Thank you to everyone for your questions and comments. And let me, at this time, extend my thanks to the panel here this evening. Starting with Mr. Matthew Penny. Matthew, always a pleasure. Let everyone know all about Purely MMA and what you've got coming up. And I thank you again for your time, sir.
Such a good show, man. Kev, Dave, John, thanks very much. It's been a pleasure. So you can catch me at Purely MMA on Twitter and purelymma.co.uk. I'm more of a social media guy, so get and follow that. I like to chuck out discussion points, you know, throughout the week and love chatting to the community. So love to see you all get involved. Thanks again, and I'm looking forward to the next one already.
Pleasure, my friend. A huge thank you to Dave Noseworthy. Dave, let all the people know where to follow your work. MMA Fansided, right? And MMA Latest. Obviously, I thank you for your time as well, my friend.
No, man, my pleasure. I thank you once again for having me on. It's a pleasure to get to chat with you guys. This is a lot of fun for me. I do my weekly podcast, short form video podcast once a week, every single week, like clockwork. Work with the MMA Latest. Can't talk here, and I'm also writing articles with fan side of MMA throughout the week as well. So just check me out on Twitter, Dave Noseworthy on Twitter, and like I said, look for those videos, look for those pieces, and thanks again for having me. Appreciate it very much. Hashtag Wheaties curse.
Anytime, my friend. That's a good hashtag. And finally, a massive thank you to Kevin Jones. Kev, always a pleasure. Thank you for helping a brother out tonight. Always fun having you on. Let our listeners know all about the main event and where to check you out, sir.
I saved the day. I just want to remind everybody about that. No better way to spend a summer afternoon in West Texas, man. I think this is the summer the wind forgot to blow, but it's dry as shit. And it's not. I mean, it's not as hot as it has been, but I mean, goddamn, this is brutal, dude. And I hope we're at the end of it. No, man, you can always check me out on doublet973.com. And you just click on the podcast page, you go down to the main event. We are live Sunday mornings from 8 to 9 on Double T 97.3 FM if you are in the West Texas area, and also live online, man. So yeah, get on there, download the app, Double T 97.3 app, check that out. I'm thinking about doing a little more writing for MMALatest.com if I can find some time too. So, but yeah, keep up with me. Keep up with me weekly basis. If I didn't say Double T 97.3.com, Too many times. I said it once more, so I'm out.
Pleasure. And if you like this podcast, be sure to subscribe. All the platforms, man, iTunes, whatever you want. Just search for Martial Arts Chat. We'll be on every Sunday at 30 p.m. talking MMA. Go to facebook.com/Martial Arts Chat. Give us a wee like there. And you can follow us on Twitter at Martial Arts Chat. And I'm Jon McElroy, and I'll catch you next time on the Roundtable.
As he turned the corner, it hit him. A smell so sweet, orchestral masterpieces could be composed about it. But what could it be? He had to find out. So with his nose leading the way, he wandered towards the paradise. He turned a corner and stopped. What lay before him was the most beautiful sight he could ever have imagined. A new bakery. And to think, he'd never have come across it had he taken the car. Walk, cycle, discover. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters.
A Vauxhall test drive? There is absolutely no reason not to. With a free Amazon Alexa-enabled device when you take a test drive, whether you buy a car or not, you might just change your mind. Vauxhall, British brand since 1903. T's and C's and exclusions apply, subject to availability, participating retailers. Test drive must be completed by 9th of September and gift claim by 13th of September 2019. No purchase necessary. See vauxhall.co.uk/test drive T's and C's. Search Vauxhall Test Drive.